machines and technologies that are helping people, really and truly they're destroying the earth. That's why the earth isn't giving forth its full glory. You have to use pesticides and all of this stuff to grow food. When it's like, if you kept the natural order of things and you sabbathed the land, and you didn't use pesticides and you grew stuff, you'd reap more of a benefit from it. They've even done studies. Apparently, organic food actually grows more abundantly than GMO food. So then why would you use a GMO? You have a higher yield, but you have like a dead seed, because you've created a fruit without a seed, so it really can't replicate itself. It's what they call terminator seeds. Everything that these people do is backwards and crazy, because you might yield a bigger yield, but then there's no seeds to make another one. So then you have to keep doing the same thing, and to be able to make, to be able to grow that crop, you have to put all these fertilizers on the soil and all of this stuff, which ends up destroying the land. So even when they're so-called winning, they're really losing. The same thing with the whole idea of them digging up oil from the earth and then using it to power their cars, and then you turn around and you say, well, we got CO2 emissions. It doesn't make any goddamn sense. In the same way that their whole banking system is based on debt, and then when the debt is too much and the society starts to collapse, they want to bring in a new system which is even worse than the old one. So everything that this man does is just pure wizardry, pure magic, and just pure destruction. But they'll paint it towards you like they're doing something good for you. And that's how this man is, because he's a damn devil. For when they had taken liberty, and this is from 2nd Esdras, chapter 8, verse 55. For when they had liberty, they despised the Most High, thought scorn of his law, and forsook his ways. Because these people have liberty to do whatever they want, but they're not searching out the scriptures. They're not trying to be righteous. They just want to smoke weed and get drunk on Friday night and have sex with random people. That's the idea of life to them. It's just base carnality. There's no forethought in their actions. All they think about is their base instincts. It's like that's how animals are. Animals don't have thought. See, when you're dealing with a man thinks. As a man thinketh, so is he. So your thoughts really precede and demonstrate and illustrate what kind of person you are. So if all you're thinking about is getting high and getting drunk and going to the club and having sex, what are you? You're an animal. That's what an animal does. An animal just thinks about his own pleasures. He doesn't think about the consequences of his actions. That's why when they did that little rat experiment where they had the little rat pressing a button that gave them, I think it was cocaine or ecstasy, or they could have basically socialized with each other and released the appropriate hormones, because rats, like most other animals, are social creatures, but they wanted that straight burst of endorphin, so they pressed the cocaine to the point where they'd kill themselves over it. And that's how these people are. They want the quick fix. Everything they do is a quick fix. They don't want to do it the proper way, because to them it's long. But you having a quick fix is going to cause you a problem in the long run. And these people never understand that stuff. It's like even the place where I'm working, it's like, I tell them, you know what, you have these vehicles, you really should keep up the vehicles. You should service the vehicles, change the brakes when you're supposed to, keep the air pressure in the tires. If you do that consistently, you're not going to have a problem later on down the line. But because these people just think about now, do this, do that, they're not thinking about, maintaining, their so-called system. So in the end, it ends up crashing on itself. So you be driving down the road and your tire will pop, and now you can't drive that van, and now that van is out of commission for 2 weeks. Whereas, you could have just taken it to the shop in the morning every other week and done constant upkeep on it, and you wouldn't have a situation where it's out of commission for 2 weeks now. You see what I mean? So in the long run, you end up causing more of a detriment to yourself when you think you're doing something that's completely contrary to the order of the way you're supposed to do it. And these people don't understand order, because they don't understand the Most High's laws. So everything that they do is really based on an illusion and a delusion, and said in their heart that there is no God. Because in their hearts, they don't believe that a God exists. They believe, man evolved from a friggin' monkey, and before a monkey, he somehow changed from a mammal. He turned to a mammal from a reptile. From a reptile, you know, at, before that he was an amphibian, and all of this dumbassery, like, because when you speak to them, they believe in a Big Bang. It's unfathomable to them to believe that there is a higher power, there is a so-called God. That's unfathomable to them. But the idea of a bunch of atoms crashing into each other and creating matter and creating stars and creating galaxies, that makes sense. So you don't believe that something is a constant and is always exists. There is no beginning and no end, but you believe atoms crash together. Where did these atoms come from? See these people's science and everything doesn't really make any sense. So if you look at how they run their society, how then can you take this man seriously in regard to anything else? Because if you can't run your society properly, why should I believe you as far as science and psychology is concerned? Because if you understand true psychology, you'd understand that you're causing destruction to yourself. Because if you go around stealing from all different kinds of people, what do you think is going to happen to you? So you believe in karma, but you don't believe in reaping what you sow. That's how stupid these people are. So they talk about karma, and then they go around causing problems everywhere, and you don't believe that so-called karma is going to come back on you. Which really, karma is the Most High's judgment, It's called reaping what you sow. You reap what you sow. If you plant something, it grows, and, you reap it. That's what happens. You sow it, it grows, you reap it. If you sow destruction, you're going to reap destruction. But these people don't believe it's going to happen. Even with these locusts, even with the corona, which is a form of pestilence. Even I was watching one thing, and they said apparently one of the silent, I wouldn't call it a pandemic, but one of the silent problems that this society is soon to face, another one apparently, on top of their emissions and the gas and the energy crisis, they're saying antibiotics aren't really working anymore because they've overused it to the point where it's not effective anymore, because they'd be feeding the antibiotics to the animals, and that has a trickle down effect to the people that eat it, and then when you're doing it, you're building up an immunity to these so-called antibiotics. So when you do have a problem and you need some antibiotics, it doesn't work on you because you've been taking it unknowingly all this time through the food and other forms of medication, what have you. You've been taking it for so long that your body's acclimatized to it, and all the germs are becoming resistant to the so-called antibiotics. And if you look at nature, there's certain things in nature which will always kill, like silver always kills germs. You look at there's something called diatomaceous earth. If you look it up, you can actually use it to kill insects. It's like an insect repellent. But you use this man's chemicals, the so-called animals get used to those chemicals, and it's not effective on them anymore. But certain things in nature are always effective because the Most High created something which was perfect in its use. It just so happened that these people have corrupted everything, that in their heads they can make things better. I mean, how stupid you have to be to come on earth, everything's there for you, and you think you can improve on something that you didn't have a hand in creating. It's like I build a house, somebody comes and they live in my house, and they're like, you know what, they have no idea of any building, they don't know about architecture, but they start looking at it and they're like, you know what, I can improve on this house. And then by you trying to improve the house, you end up destroying the house. That's how stupid these people are, because they really believe in their own power. They believe in the idea of free will, even though everything that they're doing is to their own destruction. And it's to your own destruction, and yet you can't help doing it. So then how do you have free will? Dumbasses, man. For when they had taken liberty, they despised the Most High, thought scornful his law, and forsook his ways. Moreover, they had trodden down his righteous. So that's them trodden down on the saints and mocking people who try to actually follow the laws and keep the law, and said in their heart, there is no Yahweh. Yea, and that knowing they must die. For as the things aforesaid shall receive you, so thirst and pain are prepared for them. For it was not his will that men should come to naught. You know, it wasn't in the Most High's plan for man to die, but you know, along came the serpent and along came Eve, a match made in friggin' hell, and ended up, you know, we're now in the situation that we're in. Because we really weren't appointed to this, but we're gonna have to go through this anyway. You know, and they're saying thirst and pain, you know, are basically, you know, let me not butcher it, are prepared for them. So you know, when all of this stuff really gets bad, these people are gonna end up eating their own kids, man. You know, it's not even a surprise that they'll end up doing that, because these people don't really have respect for anything. Even because if you really loved your kids, you'd be with a man and you'd raise your kids in a stable home. So them same women that you think are such great mothers are not really great mothers, because if you really loved your kids, you would have made sure that they had the father. So you know, these same women are gonna be in a situation where they will eat their own children, because these people have no morals in the first place. How can you create something from nothing? How can you have morals when everything in your life dictates and illustrates that you have no morals? But they which be created have defiled the name of him that made them, and they were unthankful unto him which prepared life for them. You know, and what's being unthankful? You have an apple tree, you have land, you have, you know, you have gold, you have all of this, and then you wanna improve upon it, thus destroying the whole creation in the process. That's being unthankful. You know, because if you were thankful to the Most High, you'd take your apple and you'd eat it. You'd take your orange, you'd eat it. You'd have, you know, you'd have your cows, you'd have your sheep or what have you, and you'd be grateful for that, and you'd act in accordance to this. Because it's not like these people don't have the Bible, like they have it, you know. And what's funny about these people is the common man will laugh at you for reading out the scriptures, when the leaders that they follow so adamantly, yeah, that they're so crazy in the it's like they're psychotic, because they follow these people and they complain about them. They follow the laws wholeheartedly, and yet they're complaining about them. So it just shows you the folly of these people. You know, obviously you're supposed to render unto Caesar's what is Caesar's, but anything other than that, you're not really supposed to follow his law when it goes against good reason and common sense, especially when it goes against the Most High's law. But these people don't care about that. They'll complain about taxes, and then they go and vote the next year. And then what, they tell them, oh, we're going to lower taxes this year, and they don't, and then they'll go next year saying the same. So it's like these people just do the same thing over and over again, even though nothing comes of it. That's how crazy and deluded these people are. It's almost psychotic, and yet they'll laugh at you for reading out the scriptures. But the same people that they follow, that they look up to, whose boots they like to lick, these people highly value the scriptures. Because even the presidents have said, you know, having a biblical understanding, you know, is pretty much primary in comprehending the world you live in. You know, even Tesla, Nikola Tesla, he's one of the greatest inventors of the last century, and he read the Bible. He you know, if you look online, you can find quotes of him, you know, bigging up the Bible. You know, he said as a kid, his mum made him read the Bible to get an understanding of the world around him. You know, and all these scientists and all these, they believe in a God. You know, they just work on the left-hand side, but, you know, they believe in the Most High. But yet these people don't. So you just see the insanity of these people. Because you look up to these people, and the things that they believe in, you really don't believe in. I don't know, I can't even explain it. It's so retarded. You can't even put it into